Welcome back. Robert Hargrove is here, the CEO Whisperer himself on the Scaling Secrets podcast. Robert is a venture capitalist and a humanitarian. He's the co-founder of the Harvard Leadership Research Project, and he is on a mission to provide CEO coaching, and he extends his expertise to ambitious entrepreneurs eager to propel their enterprises to the next level. So we are going to find out all about Mr. Robert Hargrove from myfirst100days.net. But the focus today is on having a legendary company. And Robert has 5 specific points he wants to walk us through. So you're going to want to get a pad of paper and a marker and a pen and take some notes, because this is really exciting, cutting edge stuff. And Robert is a masterful coach who can take your business to the next level. He's a thought leader, author, and catalyst, and he shapes the landscape of leadership and business strategy. So, Robert, excited to be speaking with you.
Thanks. I kind of prepared something to talk about based on my latest shtick. I kind of reinvent myself every year and talk about different things. But I took a clue from the name of the podcast. It was called Scaling Secrets. And I noticed there are a lot of business gurus, a lot of business books that have all kinds of fancy things that you're supposed to do to scale your business. And some of them are maybe good if you're an MBA, you go to Harvard Business School or Stanford Business School. But what they may or may not apply to someone that's running a small to medium-sized enterprise, let's say between 1 and 10 million or 10 million to 100 million. So I was saying, what could I share with you that might help your audience, what might help you, the listener, grow your business exponentially, multiply your profit, win the talent war, these kinds of things. So,
Well, great. And so I'm excited to jump into that in just a minute. But first, I want to give a little bit of context. We introduced who you are, but in your own words, what are you all about, and what led you to this framework that you're about to share with us?
well, I have a motto called Better Leaders, Better World. And that's not kind of like where I come from. I work presidents of countries. I've worked with CEOs of major corporations. I've worked with Silicon Valley founders. But there's an underlying theme is that I want to work with people who are in a position of power and influence to not only build a successful business, but to do something to make the world a better place. So, and I consider a person of power and influence as anyone with a business. So over the years, I've worked with many, many people, and I really have the power of coaching to make a difference both in people's lives and in any business or your community or the world at large.
I love it. So you're saying that a business is not just a thing to make money. It helps your personality and it helps yourself. And it also, if you do it right, it helps the world, and it can all work together, right? Because this way, if you have a business that gives back, that makes a difference in the future, in the environment, with people, with the economy, etc., then that's an exciting thing to do. And sometimes there's this difficulty of turning the boring into the exciting, right? Say you're like a company that like manufactures like parts or something. Well, how do you make that exciting? Well, if you use the profits and the money and the all the to make this major change, then that is very interesting, right? And when we talk to leadership experts such as yourself, and they talk about exciting and motivating your team and getting the right people and everyone working together, now that's exciting stuff, right? Now we're not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet or KPIs or things like that, which are important, but let's also have the excitement and what that then leads to. And so I like your idea here of saying that your company can be something that also changes the world. And so can you tell us, like, what do you have any kind of like fun examples or case studies? Like what comes to mind when we say a company that changes the world that you've helped and worked with? Is there one that just stands out that like is a great example of what we're talking about?
Well, I think one of my favorite examples is, and because he says he's a person who's an entrepreneur. He started out with the building a business in his bedroom, and he has an overarching purpose that underlies all his businesses. I think he started 100 different businesses, but the underlying theme is the power of business to do good and to make a difference in people's lives. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not just about that. I believe in the power of to do good, but I also believe in the importance in terms of the CEO or entrepreneur or founder to make money. So if I look at my own life, I think that what are the things that have driven me? One is I wake up every morning and try to make every day an act of creation. I am always creating something. It could be a book, it could be a business, it could be a venture capital deal. I'm always an act of creation for me. The second thing is I want to interact with people as a coach in a way that makes a difference in their lives and helps them make a difference in the world. And third, I'm about making money. I make as much money as I possibly can. I'm not an altruist, and I don't want to come off here as if I'm telling everyone else to be an altruist. So, well, I believe in the power of business to do good. I also believe in the power of capitalism to make the owner wealthy. And what I wanted to discuss today kind of gets the title of it kind of gets at that. I would like to talk to you, the listeners, about the idea. It's a new idea I have that started in 2024. It's called How to Build a Legendary Company that customers love, that the competition is jealous of, and that makes a truckload of money. I'm interested in all those things. And specifically, if I'm one of your listeners and if I put myself in your shoes, I'm to you, but I'm actually speaking to the audience. I'm thinking I want today to help you turn your business into a legendary company and provide you with 5 steps so that you can make $1 million a year in personal income. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. Let's do it.
Okay, so when I talk about building a legendary company, first of all, I'm not just talking about Apple. I'm not just talking about Google. I'm not just talking about Tesla. I'm very interested in what small to medium-sized enterprises can do, or CEOs, founders, owner-operators can do to take a legendary company. So one example is LL Bean. It's a fairly large company, but it's not a huge company. Harley Davidson is an example of a legendary company. Its customers have so much admiration and respect for it that they're willing to put a Harley Davidson tattoo on their body. And to Stu Leonard's grocery store in Newark, Connecticut. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You probably won't be familiar with this one. It's Flo's hot dog stand on Route 1 in Kennebunkport, Maine. All of these are legendary companies. And in each case, even Flo's hot dog stand, the owner makes over $1 million a year and it's more than the building is no more than 15 by 15. Okay, so I want to have that opportunity.
I think that we do want that, and I like how you're saying that there are these businesses that like you don't have to take over the world. You can be great in your own way and make $1 million a year and be loved and be remembered and be kind of iconic. So we want that, and doing it in 5 steps also sounds great. So how do we proceed?
Well, I'd like you who are listening, the audience, to think of a legendary company in your neighborhood. It could be a pizza place. It could be a car dealership. It could be a grocery store. And one of the things I always notice when there's a legendary company, one of the first clues of it is they have a full parking lot. You cannot find a parking place. You go into the store and the people are lined up checking things out at the cash register. You look at the employees, and all of the employees act like partners. They don't act like employees. And then of those 4 things that I mentioned, there's a 5th one, in that you feel jealous. When I go into a store like that, there's a part of me that feels jealous. Why don't I have a company like this? But when you think about it, it's really not all that difficult. The CEOs and founders of legendary companies don't work any harder than the CEOs of companies who are what I call Me Too competitors being pushed along by the momentum of the marketplace. In fact, they may work less hard. However, what I've noticed about them is that they do work a lot smarter. And by having studied a whole lot of these, what I call legendary companies, I noticed that they follow a pretty simple blueprint. You ready to hear a little bit about what that is?
I'm beyond
Well,
ready.
first of all, let me ask you what you think of what I just said before I go
I
on.
think I can relate to this. In my little small town, there's a franchise, the chain stores, and that's
Yeah.
not exciting. You see them everywhere, but then there are the town landmarks that have been there for decades and centuries, and you don't know the owners, but you've heard of them. And like there's a diner down the street from me it's a 50 themes diner, like, but it's
Ah,
not like retro. It's that they made it in the 50s and they never updated the layout, and it's become a classic just because the whole world has changed around it, but they've remained the same. So there's a few establishments even around town here where I know the name, I can picture it. I the like you say, the staff is great, the parking lot's full, you're jealous of it, and it's special. It's like a mini Disneyland because you could go to a McDonald's or a Jack in the Box, but these mom and pop locations, they're like part of the location's personality, and it's great. And that's
do you
what
have a
comes to mind when you
specific
talk
one
about
in
these
mind for your neighborhood?
what's that?
Do you have a specific one in mind that you like?
I do.
Okay.
Well,
Uh,
one that comes to mind is called Main Street Footers. It's a dog stand like you're talking about. It's always full.
okay. So, as I said, if you step back and you observe these kind of legendary companies from the point of view, almost like you're being an anthropologist or a scientist, what do you notice? And the
I
first thing
noticed.
go
Oh,
ahead. I want to
oh,
hear
I
you.
know. Like the first thing is colors, the branding. It's consistent.
All right, great. Well, actually, there's more than one right answer. In fact, I've got five answers, but there's more than five. I just created five because to fit the time slot that we had. But the first thing I noticed about a legendary company, because I guess because I'm oriented toward leadership, is that every time you have a legendary company, you have a leader who is an exceptional person. There's a special. If you go to that diner that you talked about, and I'm sure if I on a plane or drove there today and I met the owner of that diner, they would be a special kind of person. Is that correct?
Probably. Yes, I believe so.
And what now people might be saying, well, I'm not an exceptional person. I don't know if I can do what Robert's talking about, but you can. And one of the things that makes someone exceptional in terms of being a CEO, entrepreneur, founder is a consistent effort to present the best version of yourself every day in every situation, whether you're dealing with employees, customers, or partners. I worked for a general at the Pentagon, and he told me something I'll never forget. He said, Robert, there's 365 days in a year. I only give myself permission to have 2 bad days a year, but I do give myself permission to have those 2 bad days. So, the people that come into your store, your restaurant, your garden center, they're not paying to deal with someone who's grumpy in a booth. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing I noticed about those the CEOs and founders of exceptional companies is kindness. They're very very kind. If you read stories about, I'm a fan of Warren Buffett, not because he's a billionaire, but who he is as a human being. He's very kind. He says it's very for me to dump the stock of a company that's been with me for a long time because they're like friends, they're like family, and I can give you many examples of people who are kind that are not billionaires. Oprah Winfrey, for example, Richard Branson. How about Taylor Swift? Did you ever go to an Adele concert? She's very kind. And no wonder they're billionaires. So that's something that I think everyone listening today, you and the listening audience, can put into practice. You could every legendary company, a CEO, founder, owner that makes a consistent effort to put the best version of themselves. They come from, they know that good intent wins in a world that's transparent, and they treat everybody with kindness. I think we can all do better on that. Okay, so that's point one of my five. Interrupt me and let's talk further. The second is to create what Seth Godin called a purple cow. Do you know what a purple cow is?
I've heard the term, but I would not be able to define it specifically for you.
Okay, a purple cow is a business that stands out from, let's say, all the other black and white cows by doing something remarkable. You can't be a legendary company if you don't do something remarkable. So, for example, I mentioned LL Bean. The guy who started the company, LL Bean, who was LL Bean, knew his customers very well. They were Maine backwoodsmen, and he noticed that they always had a problem with getting their feet wet. So he came up with something called the LL Bean boot, and he opened up a single store, and that was the only item they sold in the store. But that item grew to 2 items, 3 items, 10 items, and today LL Bean is a $1 billion company. So every one of you who are listening should be thinking, what can I do to create a purple cow? What can I do
And
to
the Seth of the remarkable word. I remember hearing once he said people overthink it. Right? They say remarkable. What does that mean? And Seth Godin said a remarkable means you can make a remark about it. So just what I like about your advice so far is it's doable if you just make the little steps. Right? You say put in a continuous effort and be kind and be remarkable. Just like what small steps can you make
exactly? That's what I
have
say.
people remark about you?
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be something. You don't have to have a MBA from Stanford or Harvard or read 100 business books to do something. In terms of creating a purple cow. Let me give you a couple of questions to ask yourself. One, what am I doing to be legendary? What am I doing that if the customer liked the idea would make me a legendary CEO or legendary company? What can we do that is original, different, or better than the competition? I mentioned Flo's hot dog stand. They sell a steamed hot dog bun in a hot dog. I'm not sure there's anything that different about the hot dog, but they put this Flo's special sauce on top of the hot dog, and people come in there and buy 5 or 6 of them at a time. It's their summer binge. So I want everyone to think of that. What can I do what can we offer in our business that's a little original? And if you can't think of something original, at least different or better than the competition. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see my third example. Oh, the third example, the third point for building a legendary company is what's called world-class processes and systems. So a lot of companies, when they start to scale their business, they marketing, they're good at advertising, they're good at attracting customers, but they can't deliver because the systems and processes to deliver have not caught up with the. That's actually a nice problem to have. So a few years ago, I had to get a new roof put on my house, and I invited this company from the local area to come over and give me an estimate, and they used to tell me how many square feet my roof was, and they came over and talked to me, and they showed me a nice brochure. It was, they probably spent $3,000 in marketing just to talk to me, but they never came back with the estimate. I never got an estimate from the roof for what it was going to cost to change my roof. And I called up 2 or 3 times, talked to different people. Where's my estimate? I didn't get anything. So growing your business is a great idea, but you have to have the systems and processes to keep up with growth. Okay, that's 3. 4 is a very, very crucial is for a legendary company is, well, I'm going to do idea on 2 tracks. One is it's not a bureaucracy, it's a humanocracy. Everyone is treated everyone is in the business is treated with dignity and respect. Everyone is treated like a partner, and they respond in kind like a partner. Uh, and on that idea, taking from to a marketing point of view, is that in a legendary company, everyone it's a total marketing and sales organization. There is no such thing as having the marketing department or the sales department. Everyone is in marketing. Everyone is in sales. So I was talking to a gentleman the other day that built a legendary company. It had to be an insurance agency. And he said, whenever we hire a new employee, we make sure that I sit them down, I have a talk with them. I said, I want you to know that even though you're an underwriter or a secretary or whatever it is you do, that I want you to know that your job is to help grow this business. Your job is to identify opportunities to help customers. Your job is to help make this business money. So I think that's another excellent point that everyone here listening to this can start doing today. And I'm not sure if I've kept track of my numbers. Oh yeah, 4 is try delighting the customer at every touch point. When you go, let's say for example, you go to the dentist. Tell me about your experience. You usually have when you go to the dentist. Is it good experience, bad experience? What turns you on? What turns you off?
It's great. What me on is when they're nice, friendly. I know why I'm there. I know how long I'll be waiting. I know what's happening next. When the procedure is familiar and when it seems to be going at a fast enough speed where I don't really mind the wait of waiting to be seen or waiting for them to do whatever teeth cleaning. When things seem to be in motion.
Well, like for me, an example of going to the dentist, which nobody wants to do, is you call the dentist up maybe it's a new dentist to ask for an appointment, and they answer the phone. That's one touch point, or they call you back. Another touch point is when you walk into you want power of love in every touch point your customer has with you. So the dentist, the way they answer the phone, how you're treated when you walk in the door, you're treated like an automaton or someone they care about, and a whole bunch of other steps. Now, I have a friend that is a famous dentist in Florida. He observed his customers, and he found that they were very intimidated by having to walk into the dental room. Where you have the dental chair. It looks like a hospital. So
Oh yeah.
he decided that he's going to try a different approach to make people feel relaxed. So he made the exam room look like a living room. And then instead of telling them, he got the people relaxing. He said, "This is something that you could do now, and this is something you might want to do a little bit later. This is what I recommend. Tell me what you think you could afford, and I think we could maybe work something out." So he flattened that whole thing.
Well, you know what, Robert? My dentist office, now that you mention it, has a bunch of plants, but in the waiting room, the grand piano for some reason,
All right,
and it's called
that's great. It's the whole experience.
yeah, and they call it, the name of it is Symphony of Smiles. So I guess they're trying to go for like the white teeth and the white piano keys. There's some kind of subliminal marketing in there I don't quite connect to, but it is something unexpected. I'm like, what kind of dentist has a piano right in there? So that's what you're making me think of.
Okay, I think this is probably the 6th point, but the 6th point is stay cash flow positive. A lot of people who have a small to medium sized business achieve a certain level of success, and then instead of reinvesting that money in growth, they start spending the money on buying a new Range Rover, or spending a lot of money to go to the country club, or buying expensive clothes, and they don't have the money to reinvest in growing the business. It does take a certain amount of money. So let me just sum up. So what we're talking about today is creating a legendary company, how you can make $1 million a year in personal income. And just so I'm saying this, just so people don't forget, the first thing is be an exceptional person. Legendary leaders are exceptional. Make an effort every day to present the best version of yourself to everyone. Come up with your own purple cow. What can we do? Even you might only be a 3-person accountancy that's original, doesn't have to be original, different or better. 3, make sure you can deliver on the processes. You have the processes to deliver on whatever promises you're making. 4, make sure you delight customers at every touch point. It would be good to look at your business as if you were a designer and say, what are the touch points for my customer? There may be 5, 6, 7, or 8 of them. When I go to LL Bean, for example, I know the store is going to be beautifully laid out. I know I'm going to get great customer service. I know that if they're going to ship something to me, it's going to be there the next day or the day after. I know if they have a problem 3 years from now with the product, they will take care of it. 4, make sure everyone is in marketing and sales. Everyone's job is to grow the business, identify opportunities, and lastly, don't spend all your money. Be cheap. be thrifty. Be thrifty with yourself. It's easy. We all have lean years and we have prosperous years. And it's very easy when you have those prosperous years to blow all your money on silly things or fancy houses or expensive clothes when you could be reinvesting it in the growth of the business. Probably the most important point is always present the best version of yourself.
And this is great advice you're giving us, because I can see how it can be so easy to fall into some of these traps just without having the awareness that you're giving us by telling us, like, don't spend the money. Or a lot of the advice you're saying is that there are these legendary companies, and don't necessarily want to be a Hershey or a Disney, but you can look at them and say, what do they do right? And what are their qualities, attributes? And you've broken some of these down. And then to get from point A to point B, to aspire to be one of these companies, that to be an LO Bean type of company, you say, well, there are all these little factors, or there's like 1,000 little things that I could just incrementally work on. I can work on making my process better and kind of do the recurring thinking and implement the obsessiveness and say, well, how can we serve our customer 10 seconds faster? How can we answer the phone better? Or how can we delight them at every part? And it seems like it does take a different way of thinking, right? Like this empathy about the customer, and how can I keep on applying the effort to be kind and to have this good personality. And so it seems like it is a lot of work, but business is. And it seems like a lot of the work just is foundational, right? It's just in your basics. And what are you doing wrong, or what are you overlooking that these, like the hot dog stands, for example, is doing a really good job of? But when you're just on the outside looking in, you don't notice the millions of things. And so it requires some of these steps that you're saying here of just breaking it down into more manageable pieces and saying, okay, like, what can we work on today? Or what can we do to make our personality show better and be remarkable and be the purple cow, and just kind of get there slowly over time. But the first step seems to be in having the awareness and kind of taking the inventory of, like, okay, where and what areas can we be doing better in order to get to these steps that you're talking about.
I think you thank you. I made a good point. I'm not exactly sure what words you use, but you presented you talked in terms of taking some of the steps that I talked about and doing them a little bit better every day. And I think
Yeah.
it probably would be better for the people, for you who are listening, to think of the things I said, like uh, always present the best version of yourself, build a purple cow, have world class processes. It would probably be better to think of those not as steps, but actually rather as disciplines. So, presenting the best version of myself, being kind, that's a discipline. Building a purple cow versus building something that's mediocre, that's a discipline. Creating world class processes, that's a discipline. And as you pointed out, it's like trying to do it a little bit better every day until you arrive at the place you want to be. Certainly, creating a legendary company is a journey. Not
I agree. So, what would prevent people from getting on this journey? What would make them fail? Is it a matter of accountability, or not having everyone on the team on board? Just, it's one thing to say, here's where you're going wrong, and here's a better way, and here's a plan, and here's some advice. But then to get from that into implementing and to having a better business and enjoying everything that gives, like, what are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles that would stop someone from applying this?
That's a very good question. I think what came to mind when you said that, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but a few things that I thought of was many people, when they start a business, when you started your business, you, let's say you achieved a certain level of success, right? You could be a garden center, a grocery store, it could be a plumber, and now and you made and you start and now what you are is comfortably stuck, what I call comfortably stuck. You have enough money to pay the bills, you have enough money to go on vacation, you have enough money to a great restaurant once in a while or whatever it is that you do, but you're comfortably stuck. So what I would say to you, if that's your situation, is you don't have, you change. If you don't change, you're not going to fail. If you don't change, you're not wrong. But what I would say is, there's even if you're stuck, if you're successfully stuck, I would say to you to think about the fact that there's more available to you in life than you're currently experiencing. One of the things that might help you to to get all that is to adopt what I call a growth mindset versus a status symbol mindset. And a growth mindset means, hey, I reached a certain level of success, and now I'd really like to grow this business. I'd really like to take it to the next level versus stop, or versus, blow all my money. I'm trying to get under people's skin by saying that. Buying a car is like the most stupid thing you can. Spending like $80,000 on a pickup truck if you're only making $70,000 a year is one of the dumbest things you can possibly do. Or going to expensive restaurants. So I would say, okay, adopt. What would get in the way would be getting comfortably stuck in success. What would help you extricate yourself from that is to adopt a growth mindset versus a status symbol in acquisition, wanting to acquire all the symbols and goodies of success. But there's another thing that could get in the way, and that is giving up. I don't know if I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but I know there are some people out there listening to us. I know that you are listening to me, and you say, I tried everything that Robert said to do. Every day was a grind. I worked my tail off, and my business is, I'm not stuck in success. My business is stuck in the no growth morass, and I don't know how to get unstuck. And for that person, I'd like to offer a word of encouragement. Don't give up. They say that success is never giving up. I sincerely hope this little chat we're having can inspire you to do it again. Another thing that could help you, which comes back to my main line of business, is find a coach. Find a coach that can return you to your vision. Find a coach that can return you to your goals. Find a coach that can return you to these 5 disciplines of creating a legendary company. I love people. I love to help people. I wish you would help you. I'm speaking to your audience.
Wonderful.
Long answer. When I started out doing leadership programs, I would go into a room. There'd be 30 people, and I'd have 20 minutes for question and answer, and only one person would ask a question. So I learned to talk for 20 minutes on one question. Sorry if I went on too long.
But that's okay. If you're the expert, sure, if I'm stuck or I have a small question, that's great. But I want to let you speak so that way I can take it all in. And sometimes this advice takes time for us to absorb it and think about it and then take action on it. And, you think about these role models that we've been mentioning, like the Warren Buffett or the Taylor Swift or Richard Branson. You can picture them in your head, and you can see their face and they're smiling and they have a certain personality, and you can almost imagine what they would think or do or say. And these things didn't happen by accident. And these people probably work on their kindness and on their dedication every day. And so we need to get there, and we can't necessarily get there overnight. And we definitely can't get there if we give up. And we also can't get there alone, because we need the role models, the advice, we need our team, and we also need a mentor or a coach. And so go ahead.
Well, I know I'm just piling on to what you said. I interrupted.
Pile on. No, it's okay.
We need a. Without that, it's very easy just to drift back into your old. If your listeners are NBA fans or NFL fans or NHL fans, no team gets to the championship without a coach. I remember I heard Phil tell Michael Jordan after they won 10 games in a row, we're still not at a championship level. I'm always amazed that you see people like Michael Jackson or Kobe Bryant or whoever it is. They all have coaches. Why don't you?
Right. You're not at a level than them. And even if they did not have a coach, they would not be at that level. So that's very humbling, but also a great universal lesson. So if someone says, this guy, Robert Hargrove, he needs to be my coach, or maybe he could be someone I can at least reach out to and find more about with his website and his services, how does someone know if they and their company are a good fit for you? And if they are, how do they reach out?
Well, that's a beautiful question. As we're talking, I'm feeling like I want to help you make the next step in your career because you have a person with a lot of good intent. How do you know it's a good fit to work with me? I like to work with. I think there's three things. One is I like to work with people who have big ambitions, big personal, big ambitions for themselves, and big ambitions for their company. If this show called me up and said, Robert, next year I want to increase my company sales by 10%. Okay, good. I'm not you're probably not a good match for me because I want to work with someone who wants to have a big dream, a big game, and is really ready to go for it. The second thing that would be good if someone wanted to work with me, and I hope I hear from somebody who's listened to this, is you are willing to be coached. Oh, I think I'd make a third one. Second one. One is you're able to work together with other people. A lot of people that run small business are good at doing everything themselves, but they don't like to work with other people. So that's the second one. You're the kind of person you like to work. You're good at working together with other people. And the third one is you're coachable.
Wonderful.
A lot. People with the profile of a champion are coachable. Why are they coachable? Not because they want someone to beat them up and give them their advice, because they want to win that championship. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, wmasterfulcoaching.com. And you can also go to check me out on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn very often, Robert Hargrove. And you can call our number in the Boston area. Somebody will answer and say you want to book an appointment. I have something that I'm doing this year called a 60-minute hour of power. And it can be on a lot of different topics. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, you can see some of them. So that gives you some ideas.
Fantastic. And you said masterfulcoaching.com. Is that the website?
Yeah, I should say to you, masterfulcoaching.com. Robert Hargrove, check me out on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn. Website, masterfulcoaching.com. And in the Boston area, 617-953-5252. I used to do a lot of getting on airplanes and going to coach people. Now I found Zoom actually works pretty good. So I don't know actually where are you right now, Robert?
California.
Okay, well,
But it's as this is this each other,
yeah,
right? It's amazing.
it works great, and I don't have to jump on an airplane. And we use I coach people using Zoom. I coach people using WhatsApp, and I do it in a way that's right up to the minute. I don't have to wait like to meet the psychologist next week. Something happened, send me a WhatsApp message, and I'll be back to you probably within 10 minutes.
Well, fantastic. Well, you've amazingly inspired us today, Robert, with your advice and your stories and your insights. And if someone wants to reach out and if they have all these attributes, they're coachable, they have potential, they have ambition, and they know they do it alone. They need external help from someone like you who has seen it, who can see the blind spots on the out looking in. Robert Hargrove is your guy. And as we wrap up and wind down our conversation here, Robert, we had all these ideas all over the place, but it helps me to end on like one single final idea to really get us super excited and send us on our way. So does anything come to mind as far as a single idea to wrap this up, like a quote or a lesson, just to really end our conversation with a bang? What comes to mind?
I think one thing everybody might go away asking themselves is, hey, I had a great business or a good business or good business. Be a great business. It could be a legendary company. Now, what am I doing that's legendary? And I'd like that question to be kind of like the sand that gets inside the oyster and makes a pearl that irritates you a little bit. And if you want help getting to the bottom of it, get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. What are we doing that's legendary that can lead to even better and greater things? So very nice speaking with you, Robert Hargrove, masterfulcoaching.com. Have a terrific week and month and year.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.